Hey, we're both wearing hoodies today.
We are.
Cozy day.
We are wearing hoodies today.
Isn't that nice?
It is it's hoodie weather.
It is hoodie weather, which I really like. I'm going to boop us.
Oh, getting right down to it.
You know why? I'm getting right down to it because that's what we do. I don't understand. Every single time we talk about this, you like to chat and then boop and then have 5 more minutes of chat until we answer the question.
I don't.
It's supposed to be the second you squeeze into your chair, we start, and then this kind of banter happens after the timer goes.
Coming in hot on the squeezing into the chair.
I'm impatient with you not understanding the rules that I set up for us.
Well,
mandatory.
But I thought it's kind of nice when you're like, we're just getting settled in, and it feels a little more. You just want to boop right up top. No. Well, I mean, like
foreplay. You start the camera and the audio. It's not that we don't like, we boop around. Like you start that. That should be the beginning. That's when. You know what we should do next time?
What should we do next time?
You tell me when you're hitting record, and that's when I'll start this, and then we can see you bumbling in, getting set up. Whatever you think it is that people are really excited to see you do.
No, okay. First of all, I know they're not excited to see me do that. But I'm not including all of the pre-roll stuff in to the final cut. I'm just saying maybe we should, or not even
Fine.
should. I'm just explaining where I was coming from.
I will stop being so rigid.
No.
We can do it your way.
No. Why change?
Do you want to start over? Next one, we'll do it your way.
And
whenever you are ready to boop, we can go.
I want to boop right now.
Okay, how about a question?
Let's get one going.
He's looking at me. For those not watching, he looks very tense. I feel like this is close to what we did last time. Should I do it anyway?
No, you can dump it.
I'm thinking.
You get one veto.
Okay, let's go with it.
Okay.
What role does luck play in an artist's career success?
Oh, see, I don't know if we did. I think we may have touched on this.
Yeah.
But I think this is fine. This is great.
Okay. Not too redundant.
No, not at all.
It's a juicy one.
It's a very juicy one. I think it has a lot to do. I'm going to just come right out swinging.
Yeah.
I think it has a lot to do with what is it, an artist's success?
Yeah.
An artist's career success. Yeah. I think it has a lot to do. I think luck has a lot to do with an artist's career success. But I in the sense that it's like she agrees or disagrees. I don't know. We can't actually understand.
Either way, she looks upset.
But I think if you're not a skilled or talented artist, if your art is no good, maybe you're not at the point where you're a master yet in your field. Okay, even if the luck strikes, it's not going to matter. Maybe you got looks. If we define luck for me, maybe it's like, an agent sees you in a club, or a manager or a booker sees your tape randomly on Instagram or something like that. That might be luck in the sense that it is random. Mm-hmm. But if it's a terrible joke, they're just going to scroll right on by. Or if they're in the room, they're going to be like, all right, let's wait for the next act. Mm-hmm. But if I'm killing and I'm lucky enough to have them in the audience, and then they could say, oh, that was pretty good. Do you want to go work on a cruise ship next week? So, yeah. But I think, though, you got to be ready for luck.
So do you think let's take authors, my world. Do you think every author and let's get even more specific. So I'm going to leave self-published authors out of it for a second. And let's just look at traditionally published authors, so people that get a book contract. Do you think every author who's gotten an agent and subsequent book offer, are they all lucky? Like, do they all get there by luck, or did some of them just get lucky, and are some of them, they're so good they were going to get it even if luck worked against them?
Well, actually, I'm writing about this in a newsletter. The value of gatekeepers. I love gatekeepers because they keep the crap from getting to the stage, ideally, or they keep the crap. They help bounce. And even if I'm in the crap, that's fine. But I appreciate. Okay, so that's why I appreciate gatekeepers in the publishing world. Gatekeepers in this sense are acquisitions editors, agents, and then also acquisitions editors. Like an agent doesn't necessarily want to rep a terrible manuscript. So hopefully their selection process weeds out crap. So anyway, to answer your question, has anyone made it? Or do you think, what was your question? Do I think somebody has made it?
Yeah, it's basically like if someone's made it, is that because they're lucky?
No.
And then people that haven't made it, is it just because they're unlucky? Like, how do you weed out like who didn't make it? Because it's so easy to think like, well, I'm not doing as well in my career as I want. I'm not as successful as I want to be because I haven't had the same luck as so and so.
Well, okay. I think social media is a new piece to this. Is she right there?
Yes.
That's really cute. I think social media is a new piece to it where I think some people, especially in the publishing world, have taken off, and it may not necessarily be due to the fact that they're amazing writers. They may have just hit the lottery in terms of the cultural need right now. But also, like on TikTok, there are things go viral not because they're good, but because they just happen to go viral, and then you get people not from a totally unrelated field using that hashtag, and it just kind of perpetuates this. Oh, it's book talk. Oh, okay, and it might not even be that good of a book, but everybody wants to jump on because that's a rising trend.
Yeah.
So, but Grant, I mean, the book has to be at least pass minimum muster.
Right. That's the thing, because it's like, I mean, somebody has, even if the gatekeepers could deem something bad, like in the case of self-publishing, right? When that first burst onto the scene, it was a lot of them were books that had been rejected by publishers. But then like they found a huge reader base, like huge. Readers loved that stuff. Well, I know we're talking about gatekeepers now, a little more as opposed to luck, but then, yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling very confused on this luck thing, because the part of me that has been, and this I think is probably naive, but the part of me that has seen any kind of career success wants to attribute that to work and talent, to go back to
right
that topic. But of course I do. I mean, I also know that, like, just in hindsight, I'd always wanted to be a romance writer, but the time that I started sort of submitting, like taking it really seriously, just happened to be, because I hadn't even read the book at this time, but it happened to be on the tail end of 50 Shades of Grey. Mm-hmm. So that like the market was hot for contemporary romance. So I was lucky, definitely, in terms of timing.
Yeah, maybe.
I think. But and lucky in like a bunch of other ways. Even the fact that, you could go into like, not to go like super like weird and political, but even like being lucky enough to be in a privileged situation that I was able to take time to write the book, like that alone.
Oh, sure.
That also is lucky.
Well, I mean, J.K. Rowling wrote in an unprivileged position, and I don't know.
Yeah, J.K. Rowling is one where I don't know that luck really had much to do with it at all. Like, she had kind of a shitty situation. She was rejected by a bunch of different publishers. And
it was like 100 at least, right?
I think,
she tried.
Yeah, it was. Hers is kind of like one of those classic ragged riches stories. But yeah, like I don't think she got lucky at all. It's easy to say that now when she's a billionaire. I'm like, oh, luck must have played a part. I'm like, I don't know. I think Harry Potter was maybe just that good.
Yeah. Well, maybe she got lucky with the muse.
God, that muse. I want to be on a train having this idea about a boy wizard.
Yeah, well, so back to the self-publishing thing.
Wait, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you, and you cut this if you want. She is laying down with her head resting on the little poof of your blanket thing here.
Oh my gosh, that's
the padding for the. Yeah,
that is the most adorable thing in the entire world.
I'm gawking at my dog.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Okay, so like with the proliferation of self-publishing, I don't know if that necessarily, I don't know if that's luck. I actually think that points to, and this
I don't think it's luck either.
This is going to sound mean, but I mean it in more of a scientific-y way. It pointed, the proliferation of self-published books, I think, pointed out the demand of unsophisticated readers. Meaning like, and I'll put myself right in there, but these are not people, maybe they either didn't appreciate or couldn't afford to spend $30 for a high literary, literature, right? Because there's a difference there, and then there's one cut down. So like, because some of the self-pub stuff isn't that great. But I think the point is, objectively speaking, maybe. But I think the point is that there are a whole bunch of readers who want that.
Yeah.
And it's I actually kind of think about it like you go to Paris. There's not a whole bunch of fast food restaurants because they have a higher minimum threshold for taste. Like, I mean, they have a McDonald's, but it's like it serves way better food.
Yeah.
Whereas we have junk food everywhere because we don't care about what we eat. And I think that might be the equivalent a little bit. Like there was this whole untapped demand for stuff that wasn't, super fancy that you had to have a book club read. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't.
That's my theory.
Yeah, I did. Having read some of those early self-pub books that were legitimately quite good.
Well, yeah, no. Yeah.
I don't totally agree on that, but I get your point. I get your point in that I think it did tap into a different type of story that did not exist before because the gatekeepers didn't understand that there was a desire for that.
Right. Well, and there probably was a bunch of good stuff too, and however we're defining good or I'm defining good, that went around, either that they were able to self-pub and get around the gatekeepers as well. But I don't know. I still have an appreciation for, and I value gatekeepers in that sense too. I think about it like this. I don't want to spend time researching shows to watch on Netflix. And Netflix, I think, dropped the gate. Like now there's a ton of crap there. I don't have the time. I don't want to spend the time to research like, okay, what's a great show? Whereas, when we were kids, we had NBC, CBS, ABC, like we had 3 channels to choose from. And it was, well, when is Full House on? It's not on right this second. I guess I got to wait. There's fewer shows, but they, I think, might have been better. I think.
I think we're getting gatekeepers now. We're not talking about luck, apparently.
No. Okay, fair enough.
No. But hold on. I think I actually don't really agree with you on Netflix. I like more shows on Netflix than you do. Like a lot of times I'll put one on and I'm not having any examples off the top of my head and you don't like it at all.
Yes.
Whereas I think of Netflix, like I think Netflix in some ways is a gatekeeper because like you have to be good enough for Netflix to put their name on it compared to, and I don't think there's like a ton of TV shows like on YouTube, but like YouTube is the equivalent of like this, like anyone could put up, somebody like dance around in their living room. Like that is there. That's to me having no gatekeeper.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe. Sure. I don't know. I mean, granted, I think I'm more coming at this from a,
like we would kill to have emergency contact if we got lucky. It would like to have emergency. I would love to have Netflix pick up emergency contact.
Oh yeah, I would too.
Like, but like we can't get emergency contact on to Netflix without some luck. But like because I mean maybe we can. This is hopefully we can. But I mean like it's early in the process.
Are you saying maybe I shouldn't shit on Netflix because they could potentially ever
that's
buy?
not what I'm saying. I'm just saying like. Maybe I'm just defending like Netflix's quality here. But that, I think they absolutely are a gatekeeper. I think that they've just widened the gate to make room. And I don't necessarily, I don't think that the quality has decreased.
Well, I think that shoots down my argument because I'm looking at it from like a zero-sum thing where there's only a certain amount of spots of good quality programming, but instead of widening, I think I'm looking at it from like there's great stuff at the top of this pyramid and there's a whole bunch of crap at the bottom. And what Netflix, I think I originally was saying was they widened out the base, so there's a whole bunch more crap and still just a little bit of good stuff. I think what you're actually saying is they didn't widen out the base, they widened the whole thing.
Bailey agrees with me.
Bailey does agree. So yeah, okay, all right. I'm actually kind of coming around on this, where there's there's more good stuff, and you could argue that there's still 10% of the stuff made is amazing, 10% is terrible, but there's still 80% that's still pretty darn good, and that hasn't changed from when we were kids, when there was 3 channels to watch versus now when there's a billion. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm. And I think just like anything, there are bad shows on Netflix, but I think there were also, well, by our, again, it's preference, but I mean, I think there are not great shows on Netflix. There were also definitely shows that I didn't love growing up, even if ABC picked them up.
That's true.
That I was like, I don't like this at all. Like even, what was the Disney Afternoon? Like they had...
was that like on ABC or something?
No, I can't remember, but it was like they had like 4 shows or 3 shows. It was the Chippendales, Rescue Rangers.
Oh yeah.
And then there was a couple of DuckTales.
Woo.
Yeah, and then I think it was Tailspin.
Yeah, and that was a spin-off of DuckTales, right?
I can't remember. I think so. Right? I don't know. But the point is, all 3 or 4 of these shows came on in a little cluster, and I didn't watch them very often. So admittedly, my sample size is fairly small, but I remember I think it was Tailspin, didn't like it at all. Like loved Chippendales, but like I would turn off Tailspin. Like I could not be bothered with that. Nothing against that show. It's just like to me that was not as good of a show, even though like obviously somebody invested in it. Like somebody thought it was great. For all I know, it could have been the most popular. But yeah, I don't think that necessarily just because the same thing with and I feel like I'm defending self-published authors a lot here, but maybe because I have a couple that are self-published that publishers didn't want, but
which like, I would argue are my favorite, are some of my favorites of yours.
Thank you.
I mean, Prenup.
The Prenup, yeah, I like that one too. But point being, there are crappy traditionally published books, and there are crappy self-published books, and there are great self-published books, and there are, so
yeah. Okay.
I do, but also I do agree with you. I also like gatekeepers sometimes, if nothing else, just from the ease of having someone pick something for me. Like when I come down, like I want to read a Regency romance, which is my favorite kind of romance to read 100% of the time, because you can't go on Amazon anymore. Amazon's a great example of no gatekeeper. Like there is just way too much, like not just like art and books, but everything. Too many options. Like I don't want to have to go through 40 pages each with 100 books to find one to read. I will go to Avon, and Avon only releases a couple Regency romances per week or month maybe.
Right.
And I'll see what they have there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm coming around on this because it does. I think again, to shoot down my argument here, just as we did with Netflix, maybe there are more people reading as well, and more people reading the stuff that they might think is better. So like in the same way you would only have stories about white people, 40 years ago. I'm exaggerating here, but like for the most part, let's just say that might be true. Now you can get very specific in terms of ethnicity or politics or whatever, for better and for worse. Because I think, it's nice to read things from a world that isn't yours, but it's also nice to finally be seen and heard in your world as well.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Okay, but back to luck.
I'm really kind of torn on it, because it's like selfishly, I don't, when it applies to me, I feel like I want to say that it's not luck, but if I'm not as successful as I want to be, then like somebody else, and this just sounds super like sour grapes, like this little devil on my shoulder wants to be like, well, they got lucky. Like they had luck that I didn't have.
Right.
But I think I think a lot of life is luck. So yeah, I think I'm going to say it plays a huge role. Absolutely. I don't think it's the only factor. I mean, like for starters, you just have to like show up and like finish something. Like you've got to like actually get up on stage or write the song or...
Right. Yeah. And a lot of people that like, yeah, see, I don't know. That's where I would say luck doesn't play a part, or as big of a part. It's like you could be, let's say two authors of the same skill level. Maybe let's say they're telling the same story, like just to keep it almost exactly the same. There is going to be a world in which one of those authors sends out the email to the agent on the right day when she just happens to be checking her email, and she just had a great meeting with a publisher saying, do you have any of this type of book? And it's that type of book. And oh my God, yeah.
Yep.
Whereas the second author, maybe in the second email in the inbox, or sent to a different agent. So yeah, in that sense. But I think we can minimize the influence. We as artists can minimize the influence of luck, or by applying hard work, skill, just getting better. But
yes, it's kind of like as the more you step up the plate, the better your luck's going to be.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
In theory.
Assuming you're getting better, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Because then you look at people who you might think are lucky. Maybe they put in a ton of hard work. Who knows? Let's say they didn't, but they still get, they still make it. Mm-hmm. And it's hard not to be like, really? Them?
Well, and it's probably relative too, because you could picture people that are more, like I can think of people that are more successful than me. And maybe it's because of luck, maybe it's because of skill. I don't know. I'm going to make myself feel better by saying they were luckier than me in some way. But they're probably looking at somebody ahead of them and thinking the exact same thing.
Sure. Right. And it's so much, that's the tough part. And so it's almost like you have to force yourself to like just, okay, instead of looking down my nose at that person or about their success, it's like, I'll just drop my whole head and get right back to work.
Yep. Well, I feel like this is like the fourth time on this podcast, probably I've mentioned Nora Roberts. Right. But I mean, she's just like one, but like I have a hard time, like every time I pick up a Nora Roberts book, I'm like, this is so freaking good. Like no matter what weird genre, what story, like she like is just consistently every single time. Not like everyone is going to be my favorite of hers.
Sure.
But like it's always like she never fails to blow me away. And it's hard for me to wrap my head around the fact like, oh, she got to where she is because she's luck. I'm like, she got there. She's freaking good.
Yeah.
Like excellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing. Like we were just talking about Jim Gaffigan, where like, even when he's trying new stuff and like, it's like rougher stuff. And even you just telling me, like, I still consistently laugh. Like and
for the record, you laugh more at me telling his jokes than me telling my jokes.
That's not true. But I mean like Jim Gaffigan's great. Like I don't really like know his whole like how he got started in his career, but Jim Gaffigan is he is very, very successful, but he's also really friggin' funny.
Yeah.
And I don't laugh at the stuff that you tell me Jim Gaffigan did on stage. Again, I'm only bringing this up to let you guys know it's like secondhand jokes, and I'm still laughing. But like I don't laugh at that because Jim Gaffigan is lucky.
Right.
So, but I still think luck's a factor. So I don't know.
Well, now I wonder, could we ask the question, does luck ever play a negative role? Like, let's say you've made it. Could you get an unlucky break at that point?
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's a good point. Right. Luck doesn't always have to be positive. It could be lack of luck. Yeah.
I don't know. What would that even look like?
Well, Jason's book.
Oh, right.
Like he wrote a book, it was a good deal, everything. I don't know how much we can even like go into this, but that was like a publisher thing. That was just nothing that he did whatsoever could have changed what happened with that book.
Right.
It was unlucky.
Yeah. But by the way, if you want to go buy it, go to yournotareal.com. It's a very funny book. We have a couple copies here.
Yes.
But what?
I was going to say, you're not a real. It sounded like you said reader.
Oh, yournotareal.com. Yeah. Did it sound like I said you're not a reader?
No, I don't know. Maybe I just had readers on the mind. I just wanted to make sure we enunciated.
You're not a real. We can put it in the description.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. There are acts of God, for lack of a better term, that are outside of your scope of control, outside of your control, regardless of talent and skill and hard work and everything else.
Yeah, you could have the talent, you could do the work, you could have had a little burst of luck, but if the tide changes, is that the right phrase?
That if the tide changes, I think they both would work.
Yeah, but I mean, like it can change on a dime.
Send us your answers to that question. Is it the tide turns or the tide changes? Is that even a phrase, or are we just making both of those up? Yeah, that's okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But it is. I see your point, though. It is so much easier to blame luck or ascribe some sort of lack of success to luck.
It's the same. Sorry, I cut you off. But it's like the same when we talked about the algorithm a few weeks ago.
Right.
Where it's like, it's really easy. Like if you are successful, you want to assume, like on social media. So if you have something that goes viral, or you have a post that does really well, or you like all of a sudden get a spike in followers, you assume, or you would like to believe, or you tell yourself, I tell myself, that's because I had a great strategy and my graphics are on point and all these things. But if for some reason, if I'm not growing very quickly, if my growth is stagnant, if nobody's like my post, it's like, like the algorithm, it's the algorithm, you know, like it didn't show it to that many people. And I think it could be the same thing with, it's easy, I think, I do think luck is real, but I also think it can be easy to kind of point to luck or lack of luck when things aren't going well. But when we are doing well, it's like, no, it was all me.
Right. So yeah. I can't remember if I mentioned this. I cut you off. Go ahead.
No.
I can't remember if I mentioned this in that podcast about the algorithm, but when I had that one reel go viral-ish, and it was like months after I'd posted it, I mean, like, I have to say that was complete luck. It had nothing to do with any sort of strategy.
Yeah.
I mean, the only...
well, especially because didn't you try to essentially like emulate it by doing similar posts, or like figure out why it did well and like be intentional and strategic?
Right.
And
yeah.
It didn't.
Yes.
It didn't have the same effect.
Yeah. Nothing.
Same result.
Yeah. But I still had to have a joke. I still had to have that reel, that bit taped. I still had to write it, perform it, tape it, edit it, put it out there. I mean, like that, but that's as far as my control goes, is just getting it up, which I still have trouble with.
Yeah, I guess the moral of the story is just keep creating. Like, it sucks, but like, I mean, like, that's what it always comes down to sometimes, it feels like, is you just got to keep putting something out there over and over and over again until you get lucky.
Right. Well, I think of that... I think it's Ryan Holiday. It is Ryan Holiday, but I can't remember if it's Ego is the Enemy. But it's that story about that baseball player who was in a slump, adopted the phrase. It's I think it's a Buddhist monk phrase, but whatever. It's chop wood, carry water.
Oh,
and it's focusing on just doing those two things, nothing else in life, just those two things. And that was his mantra. And he ended up, breaking his slump and hitting, like, I don't know if it was like 3 home runs in the same game. It was something like, okay, something worked for this guy. But it's like, if all you focus on is just chopping wood, carrying water, sitting down, writing a joke, sitting down, outlining a story, writing that story, whatever it is.
Well, and to that point, maybe the best thing you can do, as we're having a conversation about luck, but I mean, maybe the best thing you can do is to just not think about it.
Yeah.
And like, instead of, because like we can tie ourselves up in major knots, feeling frustrated when we're looking at terms of like, oh, I'm not where I wanted to be, or this was bad luck, because bad luck is going to happen to all of us, obviously.
It's the prayer of something where it's
serenity.
Is that what it is? Grant me the strength to...
Serenity prayer.
Okay. Thanks for cutting me off so that I didn't have to say it. Or try to remember it because I was stumbling my way through. But it's the strength to do something, the whatever to do something else, and then the wisdom to know the difference.
Something like that.
Like the strength to handle what's in my control, the something to not worry about the stuff that's out of my control, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Yeah. I'm hoping most listeners know the serenity prayer better than we do. But yeah that is the gist.
I just had a conversation. I've had conversations with other comics just this week about, it's like, oh, so-and-so's doing really well. What am I doing wrong? And it's about luck. A lot of it has to do with luck sometimes, because you can we're perceived of equal skill level or whatever. Some people are making it, others aren't. It's like, well, okay, I just have to not worry about any of that, and I have to sit down and focus on writing the next joke. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all we can control. Mm-hmm. I mean, for the most part.
Yeah. So, since we're coming up on our 1 minute here, I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna ask you, what role does luck play in an artist's career success? And then I'm also going to say, what should they do about it?
I think it plays... Actually, I don't know what role. I think it can play a role. And you should do nothing about it.
Maybe my question is, does it play? But whatever.
Yeah, let's take a...
Yeah, does luck play? And I think the answer is of course, but I cut you off.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Yes, it has a role. I don't know what it is. And what should you do about it? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Keep trying.
Keep trying. One of the times you're going to get lucky.
Right.
Or maybe luck doesn't exist, and maybe just one time the muse, the universe. will not in your favor.
I think we call luck that which we don't understand and that can't be put into a clean explanation.
Yeah.
And like the more we're able to understand and explain things, that chews away, it erodes what we call luck, but still it's out there.
Agree. And I think, we spent this time talking about like luck in the positive sense, but to your point about like lack of luck, I think the more we start to think about being unlucky, like I think basically like the more you let your mind go that way, that's just less time. I'm a broken record here. We were talking about, but like that's less time you spend creating, and that's really
yeah, that's true.
Whereas, and then the more you create, just probability, right?
Yeah, it's another every new joke, every new story, whatever is another roll of the dice. It's like maybe I'll get lucky on this one, maybe I won't.
Yep.
All right, we're over our 5 minutes, or we're over our 30 minutes.
Yep.
We covered a lot of good ground here. You've changed my mind.
Yes.
On Netflix,
the dream.
Self-publishing, everything.
Dude, guys, this doesn't happen very often, so this is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I'm glad I could admit that in a very public setting.
Thank you. Thank you for doing that.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Candid Creatives. We'll see you next time.